Good morning or good afternoon to everyone. We are students from Apogan University that will be discussing a poem called Rizal's Love for Language, written by Jose Rizal. The poem has shared with us the importance of how to love and respect our mother tongue. It has shown us the importance of having to understand and learn the language and history of the Philippines. With this, I believe we should open up the discussion by sharing our opinion on how we think that this poem will help open the minds of the youths.
For question number one, in your opinion, do you agree on the part of the poem which states, "Whoever knows not how to love his native tongue is worse than any best or evil smelling fish"? What were Rizal's intentions?
In my opinion, I agree in Rizal's intentions, in which his intentions were to purely inspire the Filipinos to love their language. However, how Rizal's word of choice and his construction of words were harsh in a way that it can be considered by new readers, for me, like me, that it would likely be a verbal attack rather than an inspiration. That's all for me.
Okay, for me, I do agree with what he was saying in the poem. I do believe that being a full born and raised Filipino, you should be able to know how to speak your mother tongue and speak your language fluently without hesitations or butt ins. I have seen and talked to a lot of Filipinos, but a lot of them, even if they're born and raised here, they still do conyo or they still have a lot of hesitations with how they talk. I think this is really bad because I don't think it symbolizes what Rizal was trying to point out, that if you're born somewhere, you need to be proud of the language you speak, you need to be proud of how you talk, because to him, all languages were equal and deserved all the right recognition.
Uh, as one of the youth, siguro, I could really feel the nationalistic courage within me glowing brighter that after finishing that reading the poem. It was like telling me that I'm the one of the existing hopes of our country and that through my skills and ability and such things. And moreover, it was like telling me that together with the youths of like our group, that we are responsible, or I am responsible for preserving the Philippines as a nation for me and the rest of the Filipinos, and not for the foreigners.
So, a follow-up question that I would like to add is how, like, by sharing our opinion on how we think that this poem will help the will help open minds the of will help open the minds of the youth. How would this poem of Rizal, yeah, will help open the minds of the youth?
I think that with this, it will help open a lot of minds because he was really trying to showcase and teach everyone why we should love our language and why we should understand our history. He was trying to showcase that maybe there are some people who don't fully understand what the history is, but we can still do that even when we're older. He wanted us to embrace it even at the young age or a later age. He wanted to symbolize that our mother tongue was just as important as English is, and how we shouldn't belittle our language overall.
So, for me, I agree that it will let them, for me, it will let them see how language is not only a means of communication, but rather it is a measure of one's nationalism or national identity and a step to attain freedom. And it also showcases our history in struggling to use our own language due to the emergence of colonizers introducing foreign languages.
For me, his mission of education is to elevate the country to the highest seat of glory to develop the people's mentality.
So, for me naman, yes, I agree that numerous initiatives in the Philippines give the people the chances to preserve and develop their native tongue. Then we have some provisions of DepEd. DepEd to kids of mother tongue based multilingual education is the one of the best example. And I believe that even though we learn other language such as English, we Filipinos still utilize our mother tongue because it is a representation of our culture and identity. So next question is, I would like to know, since Rizal talks a lot about how we prioritize, use, and understand the depth of language, what are your insights about the recent changes of the Philippine government or Supreme Court in 2019 with making the Filipino and literature subject that teaches us about our history and dialect a non-core subject in university or college, meaning it is not a requirement to take any longer?
For me, I believe that knowing about our Filipino language, ideals in books or and in other academic topics is more than sufficient justification for mastering the language. Filipino speakers come from a nation that is rich in culture and natural beauty, which is a more compelling reason to learn the language that the fact that it is widely spoken around the world.
There were a lot of opinions on this topic, but for me, it was necessary to take out these subjects. These subjects have repeated from grade 1 to senior high, only advancing by a little bit each and every grade. If you have been studying that for so long, for sure you already have an idea of how our history was like and how to speak and use our language correctly and why we should respect it in the first place. I think that if the subjects would still be with us during university days, it would just add loads to students for no reason, due to it already being taught for many years before. A Filipino should gladly take a hold of all the ancestry and history of language we were taught and not take for granted being able to understand and learn how to speak our mother tongue today.
So I agree with what Donna said about it. And also, in my opinion, it should be still optional course to take because Filipino courses were again being taught ever since grade school or even kinder up to senior high school. So it should be like a common knowledge for all Filipino students of the Filipino language. Also, it is right for college students to focus more on their majors based on their program of choice. But to still instill and promote our language, um, events should occur in the universities, like Buwan ng Wika. So the third question that I would like to ask is, do the youth still value the language they grew up in?
Do youth still value the language they grow up in? For me, I must admit, and yeah, we can all see that the youth of today are out of control. They follow the wrong crowd, not that just the wrong crowd, like wrong path for just for their pleasure, leisure, and popularity. What it is the worst situation is the youth that are most out of control are the individuals living in poverty, like in squatter area, like that. Because the majority of them individuals rob and kill people. Maybe because they feel they don't anything and there is nothing to lose. We, the youth, we regards with facing the problems we have today should be done by a centered and powerful guidance, providing activities that will make us realize the essence of being youth. And of course, the teaching of what is really right and what is really essential and precious with our nation.
I agree with his answer because today's youth are quick focused more on moral principles, politeness, and respect for others. While before, the older generation demanded freedom and human rights, I think.
For me naman, the youth nowadays have become judgmental when being fluent in Filipino languages. At some schools, it is frowned upon if you are more of a Tagalog speaker than English. I think the youth and adolescents have forgotten the roots that they came from and have become whitewashed, mostly coming from the things that they have seen on social media. The kids who don't know English find it so entertaining and give so much entitlement to the ones that speak English. This should come to a stop due to they should be appreciating the Filipino language more. Because as Jose Rizal said, all languages, and he mentioned that all languages are equal. Okay, for the last question, I think we should discuss is how do you think Rizal's vision of his motherland affect our today's society?
For me, Rizal's poem emphasizes his dedication and love for our country or for the country and its origin. He shows how loving your country means embracing the language you were born with. And this show his true patriotism to the nation. And I think that the Filipino people, especially the youth, will value our mother tongue even more because what we experience today show how much nationalism and patriotism the Philippines deserve.
So for me, Rizal's writing, particularly this poem, showcases the struggles of what our language has been through the years. Um, in the past, the due to the colonization of by foreign intruders of our country. It showcases how Filipinos at that time were suppressed, were not given a chance to spoke their own, were not given a chance to spoke our own language, which is Tagalog or either Bisaya. So it showcases not only the struggle and also, but Rizal showcases how we should treasure our language, but by not only just saying it, but also sharing it to others and treating it as an equal language, such as how we treat the English language or the Korean language. We should also still learn and develop our skills in speaking Tagalog or Filipino.
For me, one of the most revered individuals in the Philippine history, um, in my opinion, his political writings, which spurred the Philippine movement and ultimately led to his execution by the Spanish invaders, made him a versatile intellectual and political activist who is most known for his political writings. So, well, that is all what we have for today. We sincerely appreciate all of your time for listening to our discussion, and that brings us to the end. I'd like to thank you for your time and interest and also attention. I am Michael A.G. Morales.
And,
I am Donatella Lombardo.
and I'm Aeron Apogan.
And I'm Del Prado Sabrina Cassandra.
And this is the group work or report of Group 7. Thank you.